solution for plastics. This is our next presentation presented by Gustavo Alvarez, of America Tampas and leader of the Plastic Cooperation Network. Good morning, Gustavo. A very well welcome. Thank you. Good morning. It's great to be participating in the fourth Brazilian Plastic Congress. I'll start by saying that we won't necessarily discuss plastics as a solution, but rather a solution for plastic materials with plastic materials. We believe a solution will come from working together, from collaboration, from organization. And I'll show how the transformation industry can participate in this movement, because it is part and parcel of this process. I'd like to start discussing plastic itself. And this may be a little redundant for most of you who are attending the fourth Brazilian Plastic Congress, but it's important to stress how important and how important plastic is. Plastic is to society. It's atoxic, hygienic, safe, and 100% recyclable. We just have to find the right methods to achieve this end. But this material has a technical solution that is feasible to, and this with regard to lessening environmental impact. So let's start by discussing sustainable development. We need to consider the future. Always, in some other presentations, other speakers also reinforce this. What we want to build today is something that is feasible and safe for the future generations. But then the strategies need to consider specific points in the future, and in addition, to have a commitment and to add value to the entire process. When we talk about sustainable development, we look at the economic value, the social, and the environmental value. The idea is to find the best quality solution, both in the short and the long run. When we discuss the circular economy, we should consider or that this is the opposite of a linear economy in which inputs are removed, extracted, they're made into a particular product, and then they're disposed of. The idea behind a circular economy is that the whole cycle is continuous. So the idea of waste as an end is in fact the beginning of a new cycle. And this is the right way to look at it. And I usually repeat in many presentations that there's no drain for you to just throw your products into. The idea, or even nature, nature is always a process of cycles. And this is how we need to find solutions to everyone who works in the plastic sector. How can we find this circularity? We should prioritize regenerative resources. We should also preserve and extend that which is done and that which was done, and also to use waste as a resource. Look at the final balance as a resource or input for a new cycle and a new product. And in order to achieve this with the lowest possible impact, we should also rethink design or the product itself. And we have to keep creating value. We cannot create, or we cannot take a lot of action without creating value to the entire process. This is how we look at business. America Tampas and this is the company I currently work for, we produce closure systems. In other words, plastic caps and lids. And we have plants, industrial plants in Brazil and also in South America. When we look at our business, we try to create the best strategies for the business activity itself. I'll give you one example. When we look at business strategies, and also to create from these strategies, laying a groundwork for you to continue doing business. So we have four basic pillars: technology, innovation, and product development. Then to give a focus on the cost of your products, also maintain the quality and reliability of your products for these products to be on the market, and also consider sustainability. And then based on sustainability, America Tampas created its model. How can this be made possible? So with this new vision in the plastic cap sector, we're looking at materials, post-consumption or post-consumer materials, materials with renewable sources. We look at recyclability and resign without losing sight of productivity. This is a continuous process in which new challenges are posed, but you cannot lose sight of productivity, of course. One of the initiatives we participate in, and we'll see this throughout this Congress because this was created in the Brazilian Plastic Congress, and this is the Cool Caps program. America Tempest is the first one outside the region of Porto Alegre that created a system for us to disseminate the idea of a circular economy and also education for a circular economy, providing support and getting contribution from people so that people become part of this project, of this initiative, of the circular economy. The circular economy shouldn't be just responsibility of the industry alone. This is a joint responsibility in which everyone, including users, should participate. And the idea behind cool caps in which everyone participates, and by participating, you help and you participate in effective social action. As a result, you build a model in which the industry participates, the community takes part, and you generate or add value even to charities. We should look at this from a collaborative perspective. We work together and everyone can participate, and as a result, we get an effective achievement. When we build up a model from a collaborative perspective, and I stress plastics as a solution, this new solution for plastics won't be a result of a single solution or a single company. If we think along these lines, if you want to build solutions just from this perspective, we won't be able to reach the necessary impact or positive impact, especially with plastic, which is a material that is everywhere. It's highly adaptable to many, many different purposes. And uh, this is how we believe we will build solutions. So having a collaborative vision to create solutions means teamwork. It means that everyone is working together with a common purpose, that we are building a model with communication without borders, in which group ideas, or one person's idea can be used by other people. And when we make the most of these ideas, when we generate the best impact from them, that's when we can effectively evolve, and we are then better able to build better solutions. in a collaborative system with decentralized management, with nimbler, faster decision making. And everyone has the same hierarchical level, and everyone becomes a catalyst for innovation. Based on this idea, in America Tampas, we generate an idea or participate in an initiative that was uh, generated at Hobby Plus, which led to the Plastic Cooperation Network. This is an absolutely innovative initiative. It's the first Brazilian initiative for the circular economy, as we involve all the links in the plastic economy chain. It's not just a single link, but everyone, the entire plastic production chain is involved. And this is the first initiative, maybe the first global initiative using this model. It started from this idea and it generates or adds value from collaboration, cooperation from all its elements, all its members. The idea of a network is in the seventh links of the plastic production chain. Currently, if you look at the snapshot, when we put up this deck of slides I'm showing to you, we used to be 54 companies, but in the last 2 weeks, we already have new members. As a result, the idea of a network keeps growing, and the links of this chain that are part of the plastic transformation industry include petrochemicals, chemicals, additives, transformers that transform this material, plastics, then consumer product companies, retail chains, cooperatives of garbage pickers, waste management companies, and then, of course, recyclers. So you build the idea of a circular economy by looking at the industry of plastics. So with this model in which everyone sits at the same table and we can have contributions from everyone from all perspectives is highly innovative. The idea of this network, of this initiative, is to encourage and foster circular economy with the engagement of the plastic segment and everyone that works in the plastic production industry. You want to be a communication channel with society, to look at what we have done so far and also to build something new with effective action. This is not a forum for debate alone. In addition, of course, to have ideas and discussions and proposals, we're also a forum to build projects that may generate solutions for a circular economy in the plastic segment. We have a purpose, and this purpose includes two goals, very clear goals, one of which is to increase the recyclability of plastic packaging. And so all the plastic that we call short life plastics, these have a role, of course, to give you some product. And number two, to increase the availability of post-consumer plastic material so that this material can be reused. Strange as it may seem, this is still a great challenge to have that material available. This is why it is important for everyone to participate, everyone who touches plastic, not only those that work in the industry, but also users. The idea behind this network is that we can work in cooperation and collaboration. In this story, there's no one who is more important than the others. Everyone should work together. This is why we have a decision-making council that makes decisions and provides the guidelines for the projects and studies on all the action that is taken with representatives from the entire plastic production chain, and a representative from each of these axes. What are these axes? They are also the gears that make the entire network to move and also to generate projects. So these are the actions we are initiating following these two clear objectives, clear goals. In addition, we have 12 work groups that are currently functional. We have 207 participants, and these are people who work in plastic companies that are members of this network. These people dedicate their time to make these initiatives work. The point of this network is this amount of dedication of its members. In other words, employees of the plastic industry that work together for this model to be effective, for it to work in practice. So we have these axes. We have three axes: one operating axis and two supporting axes. For example, packaging design that looks at solutions for packaging, then logistics and infrastructure, considering the logistic challenges in Brazil, providing a model that helps all this material to reach recyclers, then an access based on public policies, including tax elements and all tax incentives that may be provided to the recycling chain, and also that looks or works on education to foster a circular economy. And then the two supporting axes: communication, because it is doubtful that the knowledge we have among the network members is one of the major assets for the whole network and project and initiative to work. And then governance that lays down the rules for us to live in harmony. We're in a group with large companies, small companies, and also a transparent customer and supplier relationship. In other words, everyone is on the same line and on the same page, working and moving towards the same direction. And this is how the network is works. And this is a network of companies alone. And I'll show you two of these projects that are being launched this in the first half of 2021 by our network. And it involves all the circularity topics that we are discussing here. So we look at all our problems from a common perspective and provide ideas and solutions that will become effective as everyone has a focus on the circular economy and also working together with this purpose. For the design of packaging, for instance, we have two products that will be launched, and I'll discuss them with you. One is the first design guide, in other words, packaging design from a circular economy perspective. And the second is a tool for recyclability. It's totally free for all the plastic industry or plastic production industry to use. The idea is for us to know where we stand and also to set the goals of where we want to be. In other words, projects and ideas for real and effective solutions rather than just ideas that are just scattered in the wind and end up being forgotten at the end of a forum discussion. For us, even the members of the network, they need support from partners for the whole thing to work. So the Plástico Transforma movement and other partnerships we have with Satea Maxi King in exchange for change, they're important for us having reached the goals we have reached. So the design guide looks at recommendations of how to build and design packaging that wants to be circular, or at least a greater level of circularity, looking at product performance and the impact that this packaging has in combination with the idea of greater recyclability. As a result, you have less or as little impact as possible in terms of waste. So we have these 10 major points. So when you launch a package, you should consider all these points and all the materials that you use, the size, performance level, and the focus on products. Also considering its reuse, marketing that can be used from that knowledge or information to avoid waste. Consider colors and the impact of these colors on your packaging. Why not change the colors? Why not look at them from a different perspective? Look at the history of your product and the origin of the materials you use, always from a systems perspective.
Recyclability rate. The idea here is to assess your current packaging or your future redesigned packaging and to grade it. And that grading will allow you to compare your future product to your previous product, as well as with other packaging, so that you can pave the way towards the future for a more recyclable type of packaging, and for that to become an actual purpose, to look at recycling in a very clear and feasible way, because recyclability is the potential that your packaging can have to effectively be recycled. So the grading goes from A to E, where A is higher recyclability and E is lowest recyclability. So the closer to A, the shorter the path to effective recycling. We went through 2 phases to get to this tool: building a decision tree that included technical aspects. This was conducted by Sectorial. And during the second phase, we looked at the marketing aspects, regional aspects, and the actual economic impact that recyclability can have. The network's recyclability index doesn't look only at the technical aspects. We also need to consider the actual impacts this packaging has on society. That's why we have the second perspective, which is innovative even amongst all the individual recyclability tools that we see in Brazil and internationally. So that's why Retorna's proposal is free, it's open, so that we can all make the same effort, so that we can all look at circular economy from the same point of view. It's a very simple tool. You just visit a website, fill out a form, and then you can answer questions, from very basic questions to check if that is indeed a plastic packaging. So again, we're looking at the packaging itself and not at the material. We're looking at the whole. Then based on these questions, for each question you answer, you get information about the impact of that packaging. So first, there's a technical stage. Then the tool moves on to second stage that uses a matrix that will find out what the regional impact is and the market impact is of that technical assessment. So that happened during phase 2 through a market survey that was trying to find these answers. So the end result of that, this is an example of a shampoo packaging. When you conclude the assessment, that packaging gets graded. And in addition to that, it will give you not only its impact, but also its impact within each region of Brazil. And we have 5 different ones. Sometimes they're the same, sometimes they're different. If you are to take your packaging to one of these regions. So by doing this, not only do we want to encourage companies that are assessing their packaging become more circular and improve their recyclability rate, but also to foster the production chain so that it can find solutions and find the best recycling for that specific packaging. This network is a work of collaboration and cooperation among all. And now I would like to invite all those who haven't joined us yet to get to know a bit more about our network, because just as America Tampas found this solution and this way forward for all towards a circular economy, so I'd like to invite you all who haven't joined us yet to get to know this initiative. So again, these are only 2 products of many others that we're working on. Thank you very much for your time and attention and for the opportunity to talk about circular economy and the cooperation network for plastic initiatives. Thank you, Gustavo Alvarez, CEO for America Tampas and leader of the Cooperation Network for Plastics. Gustavo, we have received a few questions, so I would like to start with Tiago's questions. What do you think the plastic transformation industry can do so that the population can make its contribution to a circular economy in practice? Excellent question. Well, what the industry can do is communicate and educate users. So in our network, there are initiatives to support those communication projects. So, for instance, creating guides that can help educate people, supporting co-ops in their own internal communication. And on the other side, we're also working on processes that allow our recyclability rate tool to reach users. We want to have one single language in the plastic industry. But making sure that information reaches users is extremely important. So that's why one of the projects we're working on is to increase communication between the packaging, so the product that is being sold, and how consumers can dispose of that material correctly. So that's what the industry should be focusing on, so that we can make sure that users and consumers are a part of the circular economy movement by sharing knowledge with them. Gustavo, congratulations and thank you for your presentation. Recycled and or renewable products, are they more expensive than those made from virgin resins? And is that additional cost accepted by the chain? If not, what are the potential solutions to achieve the results we would like to achieve? This is Guto Vivera's question. Thank you, Guto. Thank you for joining us and thank you for the question. Costs will depend on timing. What does that mean? Virgin resin, which is oil-based, is impacted by what happens to commodities. So raw material on the one hand and consumption on the other. Recycled products have a higher fixed cost because they need to compensate waste pickers, the waste management systems, any investments that have been made to sort the waste, or the co-ops that sort the material. And on the other side, it depends on the demand. Of course, because we have a structure to recover that material, this process is high cost. It will be higher or lower in relation to the virgin material, depending on the prices of virgin material. So if we consider 2020, just as a simple example, 2020 saw raw material having their prices decreased internationally. So the cost of returning that material, and this was an atypical time because of the pandemic, made costs higher for post-consumer material. We have a couple of solutions for that. First, what kind of an impact do we want for this plastic material? Consumers are hungry for circular economy material solutions, and they want to use those materials. I've seen many surveys showing that consumers would be willing to pay more. Others also showing that they're not willing to pay more. But regardless of what happens, we need to have the solutions anyway, because we need to think of economy, circular economy, as a long-term solution for the plastic transformation industry. Professor Ortigão asks, what is the position of your network with regards to EPR, the extended producer responsibility? Well, the network for plastic cooperation doesn't have a specific position about that. That needs to be assessed on a case-by-case basis. So I can't answer for the network. Okay. Etimo Ferreira de Souza asks, how can we include the equipment industry as a part of the network? Well, the equipment industry is key if we want to have solutions that can coexist with this transition towards a circular economy. The network includes only companies that are one of the chains that include plastic. So the material that will be used or transformed or processed. We have had the support of different equipment companies. The network is thinking, because the network is a living being and it can evolve and express itself in different ways, but right now we wouldn't have room for them to join the network as it is, but for them to support our initiatives. Maybe in the future, the network will be able to accommodate that. But the main thing right now is to make sure that we come up with solutions so that we can keep on moving towards the plastics circular economy. Gustavo, how can consultants working with different waste picker associations and municipal managers take part in the network? The question is from Marcos Cavalcanti de Albuquerque. Just as I talked about the equipment industry in the previous question, consultants and public management are not currently part of the network model, not in the way that it was conceived. When we first started working with the network, we received input from all the different stakeholders in the plastic production industry, so that when building the network, we could continue to have the support and the contribution from these other stakeholders that are part of our ecosystem. Consultants support us through data. I mentioned some of them who were part of these two projects. Now, as for public agencies, they can act as supporters. Mr. Roriz, the chairman of Abiplas, mentioned a partnership between Abiplast and ABDI, the Brazilian Agency for Industrial Development, which is associated to a public agency, and they support the network through specific projects, both by providing financial support or collaboration, but also by getting the network support to what they do. The network can continue to provide support and to be supported by these agents. But the network is able to move around the industry so that the industry can come up with projects that are in favor of circular economy and doesn't take a passive position, just defending or attacking, because its purpose is to come up with solutions. That is our proposal. Fabio Krieger asked, Dear Gustavo, why not make ABNT 2330.880 compulsory? That would be a basic tenet to make circular economy part of its identity. Well, ABNT and other standards have their purpose. The network wants to make current standards or current rules something easier and more practical. We don't want to create more red tape. We want plastics to be as democratic in their essence as a product as they are in the way they're used. So we're not creating new rules, we're creating solutions that can engage more people in a circular economy. ABNT or any other new standards are necessary if we want to build a society with clearer rules. However, in order for that to work, everyone has to be a part of that. And the network wants precisely that, for everyone to be part of it. We have time for one last question from Douglas Freitas. He asks, what would be the difficulty in making end users take packaging to recycling stations? Yes, well, that is the question. We have voluntary delivery points, and often a lot of them are frequently used. Sometimes you go there and it looks like there aren't enough of them, or it looks like they're not collecting the packaging that is being left there. And the other point is education. We need to continue to educate everyone and to provide them with solutions so that everyone can take their waste to be recycled correctly. But again, we have to work together. We need to communicate that. So my question is, how much do you influence other people to sort their waste, to make sure that they're disposing of their plastic packaging correctly. How much are you doing? So that's the idea. We're trying to provide people with tools so that we all individually do the work. That way, we can all build something better together towards a circular economy for plastics. Thank you so much, Gustavo Alvarez. Thank you for joining us at the 4th Brazilian Plastics Congress. And I'll see you at 12 for the debate. All right, Gustavo? All right, great. Well, you already know, but I'll remind you. If you'd like to use simultaneous translation, please select the language you'd like to listen to on the top left-hand corner. All the material, such as the attendee guide, as well as a copy of the presentations in English, are available at the cbplastico.com.br website. Watch the awards being offered by the 4th